Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, we had to cancel our live show for today, but I did want to talk briefly about something that has been in the news, and some people have been reporting on it as if it's something brand new and shocking. Yeah, we covered it on the news last March 2021, and that is this company called Safegraph, and that they were using tracking data from phones with the CDC doing reports measuring lockdown measures. And some conservative outlets came out this last week talking about this, going, wow, it's new information leaked out. No, actually, it's old news. You just don't care that much about privacy. We did cover that story, but the reason it came out wasn't because of the CDC changes. The reason it actually came out is because the same company, Safegraph, came out, and in light of the Supreme Court leaks, they said, well, we are no longer selling data about people going to the abortion clinics. Why? Well, because we all know that those right-wing people are just hateful extremists, and they're not. If you want to worry about anybody getting violent on a viewpoint, it ain't someone from the right. We just generally want to be left alone. Now, I'm not here to get into the politics of things. Some of you guys know where I kind of stand on some of that stuff, but I'm not here to get into that. We can have a different argument. I think it's a win if they're going to stop selling data about people visiting abortion clinics. Hey, that's fine with me. I think they should just stop selling all data. In fact, I'm going to be very consistent and say that all companies, not only them, but all companies with a similar model should be forced to delete all of their data, and they should close down and find real jobs like handing out fries at the Burger King drive-thru. Okay, because very few people are consenting to this. The reality is, though, when you dig into it, well, that little privacy policy you agreed to, you did consent to it. Did you know that? It was the price that used of clicking the little button that you probably just glossed over when you first installed any one of 1,000 apps on your app store, iOS, Android, whatever else. So I went over to the Safegraph's website, and they have a lot of fun blog articles about how they collect their data. They talk about utilizing your device's ID, your device ID for Apple or for Android. They talk about the information embedded inside of apps. Of course, Google, I'm not sure if Apple did or not, but the article we covered March of 2021 is when Google forced all app developers, they give them 1 week to remove Safegraph's information, their analytics from all of their apps, or be removed from the App Store entirely. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means all future versions would have to be free of that Safegraph. But that doesn't mean that anybody who has it and maybe isn't updating, that would be rare, would still be giving data. But they're also still gathering data from other places, hence they're in the news again talking about stopping passing on information. So I want to ask this question. Am I caught up in Safegraph's data? And the answer is probably not. Why is this? Well, Safegraph collects their data from a number of places. One of them is going to be Bluetooth beacons. As you're going around different stores, CVS is really notorious for this. If you have the CVS app and you have Bluetooth turned on, they're literally walking you around the store. They will email you coupons for things based on aisles you tend to walk down when you visit a CVS. This is why I tend to not shop at CVS when I don't have to, and I certainly wouldn't take my phone in the store even if Bluetooth is disabled. They're going to use every means necessary to track you, which probably precludes facial recognition and other tracking methods as well. That being said, hey, whatever it happens to be. However, with all that being said, the one factor is I'm not using their app. In fact, I'm not using any app that has marketing information in it because I tend to not use apps at all. Outside of a few rare cases, I'll use a few web browsers and a few other things, but for the most part, I don't use apps. The apps that I do use are all completely open sourced. They are all sourced from F-Droid, and I don't really make any exceptions to that. Maybe one or two odd ones that actually, no, all the ones that I used to get not on F-Droid are now on F-Droid. So cancel that one. Everything that I'm using is on F-Droid, independently audited and free of trackers. I'm not using Bluetooth on any regular basis. When you need to use Bluetooth, you enable it on your phone. As soon as you're done with the immediate application, you disable it. Any application that would require Bluetooth being used all the time, delete it. Don't use that application with a device. It's too easy to track your information. So, do I have information there? Most likely not, because I'm not using apps. I'm not having Wi-Fi scanning for Wi-Fi networks and randomly connecting like some prostitute on a back street going down the back alleys of Wi-Fi. Nor am I going to enable Bluetooth and allow stores to track me via Bluetooth beacons all around the store. In fact, more often than not, when I visit a store, I leave the phone in the car. So, does Safegraph have my data? No. If you've been following the teaching methods I talked about on this channel, they are not grabbing your data either. So what do? Well, first and foremost, I'm running Lineage. Running Lineage allows you to run a system without GApps. There are other applications out there that also do this. I will warn you, I like EOS, but EOS, it has micro G enabled, which may enable some of these tracking sources. Probably doesn't, probably a lot safer, but I'd rather not have the possibility. So I run Lineage without micro G or without any G apps embedded. It kind of defeats the purpose. Okay. Also, because I'm running Lineage, my phone does not have an advertiser ID, unlike your stock Google or iPhones do. They have a stock ID. So I don't use those. I don't use individual apps. I don't turn on Bluetooth. I don't turn on Wi-Fi unless those are explicitly needed at the individual time. These are the tips that will make sure that you do not get caught up in the latest Safegraph. Because as of right now, you might be like, well, good, I don't want them providing information. I'm with you. I don't want them providing information on anybody at all. I don't care what your political views are. Because here's the point. Right now, we're in a world that tends to be more technically favoring the left. And if you're on the right, you tend to get a lot of pushback and a lot of downside. But what happens when midterms occur and the people on the right become in power? What's to say they don't do the same thing? So this is why, no matter what your politics are, you want to make sure that you stay on the side which does not carry with it the ability to be tracked. Because even if you can trust the company now, if you can trust the government now, if they're all completely aligned with your ideology, we are only one election away from turning things around. And that is what Snowden talked about in turnkey government. Okay, we have to fight back against this stuff. And the fact of the matter is, I don't want any of these companies collecting any data on anybody, right, left, middle, centrist, independent, Republican, Democrat, anarcho-capitalist. I don't really care. I think that we all need to do a better job of using free software and avoiding all forms of trackers and all this kind of crap. Let's all go become Luddites hanging out in the woods together. That sounds like a good plan to me. Let me know what you thought about all these things, and if you've seen this article, remember that, or if you've seen the latest discussions of Safegraph in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.